Good morning, and thank you so much for meeting with me today to discuss a records inventory system proposal for Bob's Bubble Tea. As we are aware, the growth this company has faced has been nothing short of incredible. In the past 3 years, we have expanded from Edmonton to St. Albert and now a Sherwood Park location. As per our slogan, it truly seems that Bob brings buddies together. As any growth spurt does, there have been some growing pains. There is a current lack of transparency across locations in terms of organization. We do not have clear communication across locations in regards to financial income and losses, volume of materials and equipment purchased, routines for hazard prevention and documentation, among other issues. So how can we promote growth while also understanding exactly how the operation runs and how to run things more smoothly? To expedite our growth process, I would like to suggest the implementation of a records inventory system. So what is a records inventory system and why does it matter? As per the National Archives, an inventory is a listing of record series, and a series is a way of filing a group of similar materials. A records inventory system also creates organization and addresses potential issues like improper documentation of official actions and poor filing systems in general. Emory Libraries and Information Technology describes record inventory as a system that identifies and quantifies records created and maintained by a department, and ARMA International, an official association for information professionals, defines records inventories as a detailed listing that could include the types, locations, dates, volumes, equipment, classification systems, and usage data of an organization's records. By implementing this into our company, we are creating transparency and clarity in our operations and how we wish to maintain those operations. In using a records inventory, the scope would cover all departments within the company and the 3 locations, ultimately focusing on the company in its entirety. The goals would be ultimately to have transparency in which materials are the highest sellers, a clear understanding of financial income and losses, and how that fluctuates within each unique location and client base, as well as having clear records describing each specific department, location, and file arrangement that the records would be organized by. The records inventory would be done electronically through electronic records inventory, otherwise known as ERM. It would also be done in a functional file format for the record series, meaning that each department would be organized by their specific function. The record inventory would be done online, and the head of each department would have a specific username and password, so they and they alone would be able to access these documents. Benefits of electronic records inventory, as per healthid.gov, the official website of the Office of the National Coordinator for Health and Information Technology, includes legible and complete documentation of records, a secured method of sharing information, and reductions in costs of paperwork. So what information does the record hold? As per ARMA magazine, the record will have a record title describing the function of the record plainly without acronyms or short form writing. It will also hold a description of the record series. For example, one record may be titled Finances and would describe and relate and detail to the Finances Department, specifically information relating to spending done in purchasing materials in bulk, as well as profits gained in selling, and losses in materials that are sold less frequently, as well as factors such as employee wages, any wage increases they may get, and the employee payrolls. As well, because it is a company dealing with food, the document may also look at regulatory requirements, depending on what its function is. In this case, it would be relating to the Government of Canada's food safety regulations. Within the next slide, you will see a records inventory worksheet template from ARMA magazine. It'll provide a visual aid in understanding the benefits that this can bring to the company. As you can see, this records inventory worksheet highlights the department, in which the department manager can fill out the related information. It gives contact information, the phone number, it asks for the series title, it asks for whether you have a duplicate copy of information, what's the cutoff date for the information, if we are arranging it in a certain way, whether that be alphabetical, alphanumerical, though in this case we know it's functional. It asks for the form that it's being held. In this case, it will be electronic and it would be held online through the cloud. In the bottom portion of the left-hand page, it asks the name of the system, who owns the system. It gives dates, the types of equipment used. Within the second page, on the right-hand side, it also asks how active are the records and who is using these records. So it goes quite in depth. Of course, with records inventory management comes along the retention schedule, which I will get into in the next slide. You may have noticed the bottom of the worksheet contained information boxes inquiring about dates of retention. What is retention? Well, it plays hand in hand with a records inventory system. It is a necessary second process that ensures records inventory systems run smoothly and stay up to date with company goals through a records retention schedule. We understand that the retention schedule relates to the records inventory system, but why exactly does it matter? Well, the University of Washington provides a definition of a records retention schedule that gives some reasons as to why it matters in running a business. The retention schedule lists the records the company has created and received by an institution. It lists as well how long the records must be kept, and in the case of Canada, it is a minimum of 6 years as per the Government of Canada. The official Government of Canada website states that generally you must keep all required records and supporting documents for a period of 6 years from the end of the last tax year they relate to, and the tax year is the fiscal period for corporations. As well, the retention schedule examines the retention period starting date, as well examines the importance of how to dispose materials. Once those materials are considered no longer to be useful, you must remove them, and this is known as the disposition method. Of course, the first step to take in doing a records inventory system implementation within the company would be to have training. With training, we are hoping to promote understanding of the strategies and goals Bob's Bubble Tea has set out. As Patricia C. Franks states in her work, Records and Information Management, Bob's Bubble Tea's goals include stronger transparency in inventorying supplies, the functionalities of the day-to-day workplace, and optimizing storage space by understanding when it is appropriate to dispose of records. The implementation of the records inventory system and retention schedule will be beginning January 2023 if supported by you, the executive management. The training for managers will take place in a 2-day comprehensive weekend training program held in the original store location in Edmonton, Alberta. For those 2 days, the other 2 locations will be run with assistant managers acting as interim managers for the time. It is understood that as a consequence, sales will be lower, but it is hoped that the educational experience will aid in higher financial income in the long run. And, with enough practice after the training, record inventory systems will feel second nature. In terms of benefits that will develop, In the short term, the managerial staff will be more competent in the operations of the front end and back end of business procedures and how this can impact marketability and expansion goals. In the long term, implementing this record and inventory and retention schedule provides a deeper understanding on companies' strengths and weaknesses and how to best utilize manpower and make do with storage space. To summarize, the organization of the record series will be by function, with the major duties of inventory, the retention schedule, and disposition methods being held to the responsibility of each store location manager. As mentioned earlier, the manager will have access to the files online through the cloud. The vital records will have paper copies as well, and non-vital records stored electronically. When it comes time for disposition, the electronic files will be deleted from servers, and copies made of physical vital records will be destroyed via paper shredder. Stakeholders will better understand where their investments are being used, and managers can strengthen rapport in each unique community. Fostering growth will allow for franchise expansion to create more employability across the province, and hopefully one day across the country. With this in mind, we thank you for your time and hope you take into consideration implementing a records inventory system into company procedures.